This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is Wednesday here in Pittsburgh. And, well, we're a few days out from the start of the NFL Scouting Combine. We'll hear from Steelers General Manager Omar Khan on Tuesday. Kind of the white smoke coming out of the Steeler offices there. That'll be the first time anybody has spoken, really, from the organization since Art Rooney II had his press conference a few weeks ago.
This week always feels like the calm before the storm a little bit. Like you want to talk about stuff, but you're not real sure there's not a lot going on yet.
The league has informed teams that the 2025 salary cap will fall within the range of $277.5 million to $281.5 million. So we can estimate it's going to come in at like $279.5.
Mm-hmm. That's halfway through.
Right in the
give
middle.
Or take. Yeah. You know what it was this past year? I don't know the number.
255.4.
Whoa. That's a massive
jump. A substantial increase.
I knew the league was healthy, but wow.
Yeah.
That's always a massive indicator of how healthy the league is. Salary cap and value of teams.
And I can remember it was just a few years ago when the league was going through COVID and all that stuff, and we were at the Combine, and I believe we had trying to think now who we had on. We had somebody on, John. I
don't remember who we had on, but.
Well, I'm at a loss now.
Okay.
But anyways,
I remember the cap froze.
Yeah, we had a guest on, and he was talking about it and said, look, this is going to go up $30 million maybe next year and another 20 after that. And
that's before we knew what COVID was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that's what we're seeing here. It's going to be, we're right around $280 million for the salary cap. Now, Steeler fans might look at that and say, oh, boy, they're going to have $60 million in cap space now.
Yeah, but so is 31 other teams.
Everybody else's cap went up as well.
Right. I mean, like the Saints of the world's the ones saying
they're happy. Yeah.
Right.
That's one less player they have to cut.
Right.
Do something with.
Those guys that were real close against it, that's the ones that are saying, wow, okay, I knew relief was coming, but maybe I didn't expect to be that much relief. It kind of dawned on me while we were talking about that. We had
John Clayton, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I couldn't think of John Clayton's name.
Yeah,
Clayton for years.
But like how the Eagles have all that money down the line, they must think that this stuff's going to happen regularly.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be right or not, but that there'll be big jumps over and over and over.
Yeah. And, of course, the Steelers started dealing with this a little early. We didn't talk about them releasing Preston Smith last week.
Right.
That was expected. It wasn't.
We knew it was going to happen, but I'm
not
sure everybody
had
listening
talked
did.
about it.
Right, yeah.
Because you just weren't going to pay him $13 million.
You knew it the day they traded for him.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like Devontae Adams.
It's a rental.
Like the day that you traded for him, you're not going to keep going on that contract.
But it does give you a little more money for extensions, things of that nature that you're going to fit in under your cap.
There's more flexibility.
Yeah. If you look at over the cap, which is now adjusted, they're guessing they went in the middle at $279.5 million.
Okay.
They split the difference there. With the release of Preston Smith and their rollovers from last year and everything, Steelers now in the top 10 in terms of cap space available.
Right. Even the cap went up for everybody, but still, they're in pretty good shape. I still think there's a lot of moves they can continue to make. They could even do something like extend Watt and really lower him this year. I mean, not to mention some cuts and so they have a lot of flexibility.
They do, and so we'll see where that money gets allocated to. We've also gotten some news, for example, out of Tampa Bay that they're working on a contract with Chris Godwin.
Yeah, and I was going to bring him up too, just because free agents like him are the real winners of this cap thing going up. If teams were budgeting, I don't know, $28 million for T. Higgins, well, maybe now it's 29. There's a little bit more flexibility. That's going to go to the players, of course, and the teams that are really up against the cap, that are having a hard time being compliant, are thrilled with it, and the players are thrilled with it.
Yeah, the problem for Tampa Bay becomes they've got $8.4 million in cap space as we sit here now.
Okay.
So
even with the increase,
that just gets them from net zero to
so
having a little bit of
head
wiggle
above
room.
water.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I don't know their cap well enough to say, well, they got this restructure coming, they got this restructure, they still got 3 cuts coming. I don't know what their cap flexibility is, but I would think they'd be pretty aggressive to keep Godwin.
Yeah.
McMillan came on okay, but Evans is up in age, and they're the best team in their division. I mean, they go to the playoffs every year, it seems like now.
Yeah. And I think sometimes some of this stuff gets overlooked a little bit. So, yeah, the Steelers have more cap space, but I'm looking here at the over-the-cap stuff, and about half the league has $40 million or more in cap space.
I mean,
if somebody wants to get into a bidding war for somebody that they really – if a team wants to
you're set on a guy.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do it. Nobody has the $126 million that the Patriots have.
Sure.
Which kind of gives you an idea of their roster.
No, that's the thing. I mean, they just don't have anybody to pay. Like, they may have a hard time getting to the floor, whatever the floor is.
Their spending right now is at $181 million. They got to get to within, I think, 80% of.
And it's not like just give it all to T.J. Watt type of guy. They don't have any of those dudes.
Yeah.
Right. No, they don't have anybody like that. So they don't know where their money goes, which can lead to bad contracts with getting guys out of the, from other teams.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'd be interested in a Dan Moore or a James Daniels or somebody like that and give them a bump more than they should, which would be good for the Steelers comp game.
Here's the interesting thing about this whole thing. So on Over the Cap, they list the cap space available, the effective cap space, which they're not the same thing.
Right.
The active cap spending.
Like the effective cap space, folks, also takes into account you have draft picks you have to sign, things like that, which is a little more realistic.
Yeah. And your dead money.
Dead money
that's listed on there. So here are the teams that have substantial dead money on their
and it's
cap.
dead. I mean, you can't change
there's nothing
that.
they can do about it.
Restructure that's eating up cap without that player being on your team is a definition of cap money.
So when we talk about the Saints being in cap trouble, they're $47 million over the cap right now. They have $48.4 million
in dead money.
On their cap.
In addition to that.
That's not even the highest, though.
Because I bet not.
The Cleveland Browns, who are $24.3 million over the cap, have $51.5 million in dead money.
In just dead money.
And that would increase if they trade Myles Garrett unless they somehow adjust his contract before that happens.
And that's not even talking about Watson necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's on the team.
The Eagles, $50.8 million in dead cap money.
Which, if people remember the conversation we had about them, the guys that are under contract for 27, 28 that aren't going to be Eagles, well, they're going to be dead cap hits.
They've already done some of that already with other guys. You get the Buccaneers with $32.1 million in dead cap. The Dolphins are at $27.8. Cowboys are at $20.7.
Just cap space they can't use.
Yeah. The Bills are at it's the Giants. $27.3 million for the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little different if you've had a lot of success.
Yeah.
That you maxed out your cards a little bit. But
the 49ers are at $34.9.
How much dead money do the Steelers have? I know they're low.
They're at $45,000 in dead money.
Wow.
$45,000. It's the lowest in the league.
Is it last or first or whatever? Yeah.
A large portion.
Yeah. I mean, I do know they structure their contracts a little differently than most teams. Where I forget who I was listening to. There was a pretty good cap person was saying the Steelers, probably more than any team in the league, could either cut the same player or extend the same player, and it doesn't hurt their cap as much. You know what I mean? It gives them a lot of cap flexibility the way that they do contracts. And that's something I wish I knew more about, was how each team likes to structure their contracts. I mean, that to me is a little nerdier and mathy than I know, but I do know that every team has different approaches to these things.
Yeah, $45,000 in dead money is
nothing. That's
not even a player.
There's a couple of nickels in there between it. Yeah, that's nothing.
Now, that could change if you start releasing some guys like the Cole Holcombs and players of that. But if that's where you're at right now in dead money, you can afford to do that.
It won't hurt you at all. No, that's still nothing.
You're not building on something, we already have $29 million in dead money, and we got to add to that.
I mean, a couple of million is very manageable.
Yeah.
I mean, let alone being under $50,000.
Yeah. And some of that is also because the Steelers don't make a move until they have to make a move.
Yeah.
You see, some
this
of these
isn't a cheap thing. This is just a way that they
why release Cole Holcomb now?
Right, well, you don't gain anything.
What if God forbid something. Okay, let's say something were to happen to Peyton Wilson tomorrow.
Yeah. Patrick Queen falls on the steps or something.
Right. These things happen.
Right.
For they just do.
Mm-hmm.
Guys have accidents in the off season, or they
get in trouble,
lifting weights, or they get in trouble, or whatever it may be. And if you've already cut that guy,
and you liked him,
yeah.
I mean, the only reason to get rid of him is because you can use the cap space, and all of a sudden he's your fourth linebacker, maybe, as opposed to your second or whatever.
But I see that a lot. Well, why aren't they cutting this guy? Cut that guy. Just make those moves now. Well, you don't need the space right now.
You don't need space here.
You've got $60 million in cap space, so why make a move?
And maybe by week 15, you'll be real happy you have Cole Holcomb. If you didn't have anything else to do with the money. The only thing Holcomb would prefer to get released now than a month from now.
If he's going to be released.
If he's going to be released, yeah. I mean, just gives him more time, more bargaining power, that type of thing. But, okay, so what,
Yeah. I mean, so you don't make a move like that until you absolutely have to make a move like that. It's like, when they restructure somebody, when they do a restructure, it's usually because they have something in mind that they're looking to do.
Or they got to sign their draft picks or whatever.
You're getting ready. Okay, we got to start prepping to go into the season. We want to have $6 million available,
laying around for petty cash, pick up stuff. Right? Yeah, to get the next Preston Smith.
It also shows why. When people ask, why would you rather trade a pick for a player?
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of trading a pick for a player is you don't owe any of his signing bonus money.
Like the Minka stuff was unbelievable in that regard.
You just pick up the guy's base salary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's some,
they did the big spending.
If there's some future,
Minka,
stuff in there in terms of
there could be
workout bonuses and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, that's different.
But at least you know which contract you're inheriting.
You know exactly what you're getting, and this is it. And if you decide to move on from the player, it costs you nothing.
It costs you nothing.
It doesn't hurt your cap at all.
That's the thing. Just to kind of spell it out, like, okay, someone gets a $30 million bonus on a 3-year deal. Well, that's 10-10-10.
Right.
And, okay, I trade for the guy. Well, I don't have to pay that.
First
of all, he already has it in his He already has it in his pocket.
That goes on the other team's.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a wonderfable thing.
Yeah. So you're getting the player at a nice salary.
And they did the negotiating for you.
Yeah.
You can't even if you think, I think you're overpaid, I think you're underpaid. Doesn't matter what I think. I just inherited your contract.
Right. And you can renegotiate those things. And
sure. We'll tear it up or add.
All right, you're making let's say that they wanted to do that with Preston Smith this year. They could have said, hey, Preston, we like you. We want to keep you around for a couple more years. We don't want to pay you $13 million in salary this year. We don't want that kind of cap hit. But what if we gave you $10 million signing bonus and added 2 more years onto your contract, and you're going to make $3 million this year. So you're going to get your $13 million.
Yeah, and you get a big chunk of it in one big check, right?
And it's going to lower your cap hit now, and
we get to keep you.
Yeah.
No, that's all. That stuff works a lot. And even after they cut him, they could still bring him back in a week if they wanted. Yeah. But,
so it's all just the jockeying that goes on this time of year. But
I wish I understood cap gymnastics a little bit better. You know what I mean? There are some tricks to the trade, and voidable years have become a new thing, and I do understand that portion of it. But I mean, when do you put bonuses in, and what who can you? One rule of thumb people should know is if you renegotiate with a player, basically to free up cap space, they do those type of things.
Yeah.
Like, let me give you $10 million now and $1 million a week, as opposed to $3 million a week or whatever. It usually means you plan on keeping him around.
Right.
They do it. They go to the bank of Mahomes, the bank of Josh Allen, Burrows. We've talked about a bunch. Those type of guys.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing with the salary cap for the Steelers right now. In 2026, and over the cap is estimating that the cap will go up to $295.5 million, so another $20 million.
Which is a guess.
Rough neighborhood. Steelers have $164 million in cap space for 2026.
Wow, that's got to be near the top.
Yeah, that's fifth on the.
Does that one say how many guys they have under contract for that?
That would be with 23 players under contract, so they have some work to do. It's not all that different from some of these other teams. But
the guys are going to be up not this upcoming week or two. When the guys will be a year from now, maybe they'll start adding a year to them here and there.
Yeah.
You know, because they got the future cap
got
space
all
to
kinds
do
of cap
whatever you
space.
want, right?
Yeah. Even 2027, they had $263 million with a cap estimate of $311 million.
Wow. And what's nice, too, is like, let's say, similar to like Joe Hayden getting let go. You didn't expect that. Like, well, some teams can't handle that late in the process. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone could deal with it now. Or something weird happens where, I know this didn't really happen, but if the Jags decide to trade Trevor Lawrence or something goofy like that, well, we can absorb it. You know, we could be one of the teams that can handle that type of thing. You know?
That's why you do want to have available cap space that you can make moves like that if you really have
and
to.
the flexibility the Steelers have, too.
Yeah.
You know, they can make a lot more or extend guys or whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're in good shape right now.
They are.
In terms of the cap. Can pretty much sign really whoever they want if they really want to get into it.
If it's the right move, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a nice spot to be in. Yes, they right now, as we sit here, don't know who their quarterback is going to be. But that stuff's all going to change. That's one of the things that drives me nuts about the offseason. Like, as soon as the Super Bowl was over,
yeah,
here are next year's odds for the Super Bowl.
Oh, I know.
You don't even know what these teams are going to look like.
Yeah. Half of them didn't. There's a bunch of them didn't have coaches.
Right.
Let alone quarterback. Steelers don't even have a quarterback. How do you make their odds? You don't know who their guys are.
You just don't know. And you want to tell me after the draft and after free agency who the favorites are? I'll listen.
Yeah.
But you're going to see every team in the league is going to see probably 20 to 25 players and sometimes more turnover.
Total change.
Yeah.
I mean, 20,
half your
30% team. Yeah, right. I would say it's guaranteed it's going to be a third of your team flip.
Yeah. You just don't know.
All those draft picks coming in and dudes are retired, guys that aren't good enough anymore, et cetera.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff and gives us always something to talk about, too.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of action.
Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we return, the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola, will join us here on the Justin Miller Hotline right after this. And welcome back to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we welcome on the Justin Miller Hotline the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola. How you doing, Bob?
Well, I may have to cut this short because I'm picking up Trevor Lawrence at the airport.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
I was going to ask you, which quarterback, I mean, when's Daniel Jones coming in? Is he coming in as well?
I don't know. I just got the call for Trevor. I don't know if
Why stop there? Yeah.
It's going to be a crowded
well,
room
they're on
this
the-
year. I mean, when's Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence?
Matthew Stafford, right.
How are they going to find playing time for all these guys?
I don't know, but all I know is I just pick up at the airport who they tell me.
Bob, this is
It was on a podcast, so it has to
must be true.
Must
Yeah,
be true.
Yeah, rumors, hot rumors, lots of hot
on
rumors
the internet. Must be true.
It's hot rumor season, and as someone who has done this for longer than myself or Matt, how has this changed over the years, in your opinion, the rumor stuff? Because this is the rumor time of year, not only just for teams, but we also see this now. Once the combine is over, you start to hear rumors about different players. This guy's this, that guy's that. I mean, is this just blown up completely with the internet?
Well, yeah. I mean, it used to be. I am old enough to remember when, it had to be done with a phone call, and a phone call meant, a landline wired into into the wall, and you're calling another person on a landline with the wired into a wall, and they have to be there to answer the phone. There is no, voicemail. I mean, there is no email.
Unless you were Gordon Gekko walking on the beach.
So
that's a really dated reference for.
A lot of people have microphones now, figuratively and literally in some cases. So, it's social media and, as I said, a lot of people have a microphone. So it's an industry now, I believe, the clickbait industry, for lack of a better word. So, it's the Pandora's box is open, in a sense. And hey, I think to a large degree the NFL loves it because it keeps things percolating all the time. There's really no off season. It's like you said, all of the things you said are true. You have all of these reports and speculation, and people are making trades or redesigning rosters based on potential salary cap moves or whatever. You have other people predicting what unrestricted free agents are going to sign for a month from now, before the salary cap is set or, before franchise tags or the tags are determined. It's speculation, guessing. It's people, if they want to enjoy it, but I just caution you whether you want to believe it.
That's one thing I would always caution people about, Bob. There's a difference between speculation and a rumor.
Yeah.
And it's a very distinct difference between the two. But I often hear this, well, did you hear this rumor? And I'm like, no, that's somebody's speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Both speculating and rumors are 100 miles away from, actual fact.
Truth,
right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, consume it, enjoy it. I mean, to me, it beats the heck out of talking about the NBA or, anything else that might be going on right now. So, have at it, but just don't believe it.
So, Labs, the salary, we were talking about the salary cap a little bit in the first segment, and it went up substantially, which to me means the league is very, very healthy. But just talking about like this rumor stuff, obviously there was a day when Twitter didn't exist or we didn't all walk around with computers in our pocket with these cell phones and et cetera, et cetera. But as long as I can remember, the league has been always very good at keeping interest throughout the course of the season. Like schedule release day during a boring time. Like they're pretty good at selling their product.
Yeah, I mean, and the league has gone to massaging the off-season schedule
mm-hmm.
to highlight a lot of these things, and they've turned nothing events into tentpole extravaganzas that are nationally televised. And in the case of the NFL draft, it's not a traveling roadshow. A highly successful one and sophisticated one.
Mm-hmm. Even like the Ireland, the Steelers are playing in Ireland, but they don't tell us who the opponent is yet. You're leaving you hanging. You're always coming back for more.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they'll even announce all of those games at the same time.
Yeah, they just announced today that the Chargers are going to Sao Paulo a week after they announced.
Right.
Yeah.
Just let the information trickle out.
It's so smart about
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's not forget the greatest commissioner in NFL history, the guy who really, in my opinion, shaped what the game is today, was a PR guy, Pete Rozelle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so PR has always been, I think, and once the teams and the owners and the people saw what Pete Rozelle was doing and could do and the fruits of his genius, I think that PR continues to be a primary concern of the league in terms of its business model. And I think they do a pretty good job of it. There's some things I don't agree with,
mm-hmm.
but I mean, they percolate it. They stir the pot. I mean, Hard Knocks, all that stuff.
I mean, we're going to be at the Combine next week.
There you go.
Oh, it's massive.
There you
right.
go.
I've been going to the Combine now for about, I want to say, It's 12 or 13 years. I can't remember the exact first year I went there, but I can remember Jerry Dulac and I doing radio there the first time I went, and there were about 8 other tables set up for the radio.
It's not like that now.
Right,
now there's like 100.
Yeah. The owners' meeting will be right.
The entire media area was the lobby outside of the club level at the RCA Dome.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one side. Like
the players used to walk past us on the we'd be sitting there doing radio, and the players would just walk by you on their way to do to go talk to the teams and stuff, and you're just like, okay, there's that. Oh, that guy's big, or stuff like that. And now it's like this big. Now it's like the Super Bowl.
The
Yeah, it's
interviews
crowded.
were done there too.
Right.
The interviews were done there too.
Or at the
All of the
hotels,
interviews.
all that stuff. It was kind of a free for all at that point, and they've marketed this thing now to where every website, every newspaper, everybody sends people there.
It's big television too.
Yeah,
The Senior Bowl.
yeah.
They have Senior Bowl practices on television. Seriously, there were,
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough where I believe when I started, there were people working at the NFL who maybe couldn't find Mobile, Alabama on a map. Now it's on television.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the Senior Bowl practices, the Combine. Then the next is the draft. No, then they have pro days.
Yeah, the pro days
pro
are
days on
They
TV.
could be on NFL Network or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's nonstop. And what happens is now too, as I mentioned, everybody has a microphone because we just do it on the internet, TikTok, whatever. The availability, the all 22 is available, or you could DVR Senior Bowl practices. You can DVR the Combine that they have it on TV. Then you have people with these microphones who, self-appointed experts or media stars or whatever, watch that and tell you definitively who's good and who's not.
Yeah. Not to mention, as you might have noticed, I put a stat pack together, and you can find all sorts of stats out there, too. You mentioned the All-22. Like, everything's at your fingertips. It's insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that, again, it's good for the league. If fans are interested in that and want to, take the time to follow it, hey, have at it. But, to everybody else, what is it? Let the buyer beware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Labs, real quick, you mentioned Pete Rozelle. Is he majorly responsible from making the NFL the clear number one league? Is that when they started to really pull
Absolutely.
away? Yeah.
If you're asking me, a Mount Rushmore of the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
Pete Rozelle is on it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 100 years worth of NFL. Pete Rozelle is one of the foremost significant people in the history of the sport played at the professional level, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, as I said, that's everybody ever.
And resulting in a lot of
Right.
revenue, we're saying now, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the whole, the whole concept of, the sharing of the revenue, which allows Green Bay to have a team, by the way,
Sure.
it wasn't founded by Pete Rozelle, but it was seriously nurtured by him. The decisions that he made, just the whole, the direction that the league went, and all of the there was a lot of financial windfall during the Pete Rozelle era, and that was always shared equally. There was never any attempt to skirt any of that, or because that was enforced or followed both to the letter and the spirit of those rules. And so, as I said, Pete Rozelle on my Mount Rushmore, four heads in stone. His is one of them.
Labs, changing gears here to the Steelers. We'll hear from Omar Khan for the first time next week at the Combine. What do you think, outside of the quarterback situation, what do you think is going to be the hot topic for Omar at that point?
What are people going to ask him?
What do you think will be what would you ask? I guess would be the.
Let me say this again. Whatever you want to ask. But Omar's not going to be under subpoena.
No, that's
general
correct.
managers are not under subpoena. So let me say this: I think if Omar or any general manager is overly candid he's a fool.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
why would you say, as Vito Corleone told Sonny, don't ever talk about the family outside of the family.
Oh yeah.
You never want to let people know what you're thinking.
That's why I always laugh, Bob, when
That's why
people
Vito
say
got shot.
So, Mike Tomlin's lied to the media about this. He said this, and then 3 weeks later they did that.
You expect them to tell you what they're going to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, in the history of the sport, you can just substitute name for name for name, coach's name for coach's name for
Right.
coach's name. Who knows? Maybe general managers. I don't know if George Young did a lot of press conferences, but if you're thinking that these guys are going to tell you who they're picking. I mean, Lombardi. I mean, are you kidding me? Hallis. And it goes back that far, and it's throughout. I mean, Belichick, Parcells. I mean, did any of these guys tell you the truth in real time? Come on. Like I said, that's the whole. It's all part of the, the machine. If it's a circus, you have like the actual. And then you have the outside tents, the performers and stuff, the sidelight to the main show. The main show is the sport and how it's played, what happens, in games. The rest of it is, getting stuff to percolate, PR, marketing, just the whole feeding the beast, so to speak. That's the league. That's professional sports, and the NFL is better at it, I think, than any other professional sport, certainly in this country, because I don't know what.
And
I'm not going to talk about Premier League soccer or anything. I don't know anything about it. No, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to pretend like I do.
And I can't help myself, Labs, because you brought it up. I mean, Vito slaps Sonny and says, don't tell anyone outside the family what you're ever thinking again. And then
Right.
a couple scenes later, the poor guy's getting oranges and the Don gets shot. I mean, what good's going to come of it,
Right. I just don't think you want to tip your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Because, if Kevin Colbert says, yeah, we're going to trade up to get Troy Polamalu, we're looking for a guy like that. The Steelers would have ended up with who Bill Cowher wanted in the first round of that draft, who was Larry Johnson, the Penn State running back.
Mm.
So, I don't know. Talking isn't. It's not a talking kind of business if you want to be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the overall structure of this team and everything, and we've seen different people taking their shots and whoever, whatever, and guessing what the Steelers are going to look like, or saying that, they're still stuck in their ways. They don't do anything different. And I've said numerous times, Bob, they've traded a first-round draft pick for a player, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They've moved up in the draft twice in the last, 5-6 years. Now you can argue about did they move up for the right player, but they've certainly been more aggressive doing things like that. They've certainly been active in free agency more so than ever before in team history. People saying
there's a new GM.
Yeah. People saying that they don't do things differently, I don't think are really paying attention to how they've been operating over the last, 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, I mean, the Steelers, I don't think are ever going to be rash. They're deliberate, I think, and thoughtful about things. And I don't know. I don't know that that's not I don't think that that's necessarily stale. Because it's only the outcomes of your decisions, if they're always the same and have been for 40 years, that you're stale. Thinking about what you're going to do before you do it just makes sense to me. The whole attitude that seems to be out there in some areas of, wouldn't it be cool if? I don't know that that's the way to run a business, a realistic way to run a business. And again, being thoughtful and then making decisions that you think are the best for the reality of the moment, I think just makes sense. And as you mentioned, Dale, there have been more, free agent signings. I mean, look at quarterback over the last 12 months. I mean, when the season ended, there was a real, let's see if we can get Mason Rudolph re-signed attitude. But then, the Broncos and Russell Wilson get their divorce, and, Sean Payton gets stuck paying all the alimony. So, okay, you got a shot at a guy who won a Super Bowl, and you're paying a minimum wage, which is, $1 million, whatever it was. And then, okay, so you got that. And then Justin Fields drops in your lap for a 6th-round pick. And you've really remade, the key position on the depth chart of your team, and you didn't see that coming. So, I mean, how is that stale? I don't know. And I don't know what stale necessarily means. I think that a lot of times there's disappointment in some things, and outside people looking at it are interested in assigning blame to some things, and whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But it seems to me that a lot of the decisions made in real time make sense. Maybe they didn't work out, but they make sense.
Right. You can argue the results, but the process seems like it was pretty, straightforward and well thought out. I mean,
let me just make this point real quick. A lot of a submission in the next Asked and Answered is going to be dealing with, the Kenny Pickett situation, and the way that unfolded, in real time was the Steelers as an organization decided that they were going to stick with Ben after his rehab from right elbow surgery in 2019 seemed to be coming along so well. You had the videos of Ben throwing the ball and all that stuff. Okay. So they make an organizational decision, and make no mistake, there is no single person who's cutting a player like Ben Roethlisberger in a unilateral decision. That's not something that, if you look at the top three of the Steelers, Art Rooney II, Omar Khan at this point, or at that point was Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin. There isn't one of those three who would unilaterally say, without telling the other two, I'm keeping Ben or I'm cutting Ben, and have that be, the law. That's it. So, you decide to stick with the guy, and he certainly had a career that, was worth sticking with. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, he retires. So Kevin has announced his retirement for that June 2022. So he doesn't want to leave the Steelers in a bad spot at quarterback. So you sign Mitch Trubisky right away out of free agency. Good contract, former 2nd overall pick. The guy was like 29-20 as a starter with the Bears. You got him for a bargain price, 2-year deal. Why not? Okay, let's do that. Then, the draft comes around. You've decided that in your scouting that pick's the best quarterback in the draft. Now, as it works out, Brock Purdy was the best quarterback in the draft, but anybody who says they knew that when Roger Goodell said, let's start the first round in 2022, anybody who thinks they knew that then is a liar.
We'll just wait to the 7th round to grab him, though, even though we know he's
right. Yeah, exactly. Like Brady.
Right.
Like Brady, how smart the Patriots were. I mean, if drafting Brady, coming out of that draft, getting Brady was the goal, you fired the general manager or the coach or whoever was in charge of that draft because they waited to the 6th round until they decided to spend a pick on a guy who's won 9 Super Bowls or 11 Super Bowls, whatever ridiculous number it is. Okay, so you got Trubisky, you pick Pickett, and now you have what you think is a couple of bridge guys. I mean, starter-capable people. You can win with them. I don't think there was a sense of either one of them being the kind of guy that's going to carry a team to a Super Bowl. But again, Ben retired. You really didn't have anything else, and so you try and set up the next administration with a fighting chance at what is the most important position on the roster. Trubisky turns out to be a guy who's much more comfortable being a backup, and Pickett thought he was in the ACC or whatever, and the stuff that he was doing at the ACC level wasn't working at the NFL level. And then when he was posed with a situation where he could learn from a veteran quarterback who had won a Super Bowl and or compete with a guy who was the 11th overall pick of the draft but had a 10-29 record as a starter, he decided he wanted to start fresh. And again, who saw that coming? So I don't know. As I said, I think in real time there have been moves that didn't work, but I don't know that you could really look at those as they were happening and say, no, this isn't the thing to do because of, I know what's going to happen. I know that Pickett is going to not have the, football spine to want to stay and compete. He'd rather get a fresh start.
Yeah.
Air quotes around fresh start for everybody here listening on the radio.
Super Bowl
but
champion.
Anyway, yeah. Well, taking a knee, with an 18-point lead I think is going to be the extent of his contributions to a team that wins a Super Bowl. And again, I think he was never going to be more than that for any team. But again, that doesn't mean you don't not pick one until you think you got the next Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because I don't even think the great Andy Reid knew that he was getting Patrick Mahomes when he traded up to get Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
I mean, that's just people who believe that are delusional.
Absolutely.
Or they
Otherwise, he would have traded up to one.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, exactly. and if you could know that, the team that had one would have never traded.
Right.
Either.
Yeah. Anyways, we got to let you go, Bob. Here we're running up against the break here, but we appreciate you your time and always your foresight and knowledge of the game and the history of the game. But our guest has been Bob Labriola, the editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com, and the Dean of Doom and Lord of Living in His Fears. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, before we get to what you wanted to talk about here, so we talked about Lance Zierlein's rankings for the draft.
Yeah, they came out yesterday and yeah.
I just want to remind people, because I hear this a lot, the Steelers overdrafted Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Lance had a 6.40 grade on him. He was his number one quarterback in the draft. A 6.40 grade is easily a first-round grade.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it happened. It wasn't Todd and Mel and all those people were like, I can't believe this guy went in the first round. I mean,
a 6.40 grade, just so people know, means that they think, Lance thinks, or the people at NFL.com think, he'll become a good starter within 2 years.
Mm-hmm. That was his final grade.
That was his grade coming out of that draft. So it didn't work out here.
No, of course not. Right.
For the reasons that
many first-round quarterbacks don't across the history of the league, by the way.
And he was, by the way, the 20th pick in the draft. He wasn't first.
He wasn't 1 or 2 or whatever. But one thing I wanted to just bring up real quick, I know we have a short segment here, but we were talking about organizational aggressiveness overall. And I think that there's a misconception that active and aggressive equals wins. You know, like, yes, the Eagles, to all their credit, are an active, aggressive organization, and they're the current champions of the world. Great. But in like the last 10 years, probably the most active and aggressive organizations in this league, Jets, Jags, Panthers chase a shiny new thing every year, Browns. How many wins do they have? You know what I mean? Just activity does not mean progress.
No, it does not. I can remember when the Steelers played the Jaguars in the playoffs in 2017, answering questions for people on message boards. And how did the Jaguars get all these good players on defense?
Well, they picked the top 5 every year.
They were a top 10 drafting team every year. They got all those guys in the top 10.
And none of them are still stuck around.
Yeah.
That's part of it. You know, Jalen Ramsey's gone, Bortles. I mean, all those early picks aren't Jags for very long.
Yeah. So
they're always looking for the next shiny new thing.
You know, if you're willing to stink for 10 years, you can build a pretty good roster.
Oh, yeah, right. You keep picking the top, right.
You know, at least if you're getting it right, you know. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think, you know, there's a difference between being prudent and being just crazy with your we're just going to go spend.
It doesn't mean the process was wrong.
Right.
You know, I mean, again, you know, trading up for Bush hit big or drafting pick at 20 hit big. No. But that doesn't mean the logic behind it was wrong necessarily, or the organizational outlook on it, you know?
Yeah. So, anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. This is Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, well, this is the drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And, Matt, mock draft time.
Yeah, let's mock it up. It's been a while.
We haven't done a mock in a couple of days here.
Yeah.
I do know we're on Pro Football Focus here. They have adjusted their rankings.
Oh, have they? Good.
They have.
Good. One draft note. I'm friends with Todd McShay. I'm hoping to grab him on the Combine, get him on here. He has his own podcast now. He's not with ESPN anymore. And I was listening to it on the way here, and they were previewing D linemen. They did 2 sections. They did interior and edge. And I was blown away. Todd said he has 34 day 1 or 2 grades on defensive linemen. I think it's 17 and 17.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. You know, like I definitely would love to get one in round 1. But if you settle for one of these D linemen in day 2 or even the 3rd round, I think you're still going to be pretty happy. Yeah.
Still going to definitely be pretty happy. So people complained that some people complained that we did too many trade downs the last time.
We hit it pretty hard.
We did. But
it's fun. Yeah.
So let's keep it a little more straightforward this time around. The only question I have for you is, do we want to trade a pick before we get started for a veteran wide receiver?
I think that's going to happen. So, yes, I think that's fair.
Who is our target?
I think Kirk is the most logical target. I also think Slayton could be in the mix as UFA. We did Kirk before, but I think that's not going crazy saying, oh, let's just grab Devontae Adams or you know, somebody like that.
Or do you want to try Deebo Samuel this time?
That's fine.
All right. Let's see what it would take here, according to, again, Pro Football Focus, to get Deebo Samuel off of the 49ers. All right, so there's Deebo.
And I think there's a legit chance he gets cut. Same with Kupp. You know, these teams that put out there, you know, they're on the block are basically saying, we're going to cut him soon unless you come take him off our hands. You know?
All right, so they're saying it's going to take a second, but we're going to get something more back.
I'm not even close to that.
So what they're saying the offer would have to be, they're guessing, is the 2nd round pick, and we would get 111 back. I can force more than we can make it a 5th.
Well, how about we just say we sign somebody then?
We could say we're going to give up 162.
Okay, that's fine.
A 5th round draft pick for Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I honestly think he's going to get cut, and you can get him pretty cheap right now.
Yeah. So
people aren't giving up a second.
I'm going to force that trade.
Okay.
And I would give that. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
5th round pick.
You know fair. You have them, and right.
All right. So now I'm going to start the draft. We don't have pick 162 anymore. Okay. So at pick 21, top players available: Kelvin Banks Jr., Derek Harmon, Armand Membo. Like I said, they've adjusted their rankings a little bit here. Matthew Golden, Amarian Hampton, Gray Zabel, Nick Scourton, Darius Alexander. They bumped him way up on the board.
Yeah.
Jihad Campbell, Josh Connerly, Colston Loveland, Jalen Walker, Demetrius Knight, Trey Amos, and you're into the...
Wow. Not much there I love. I mean, no Grant. I mean, I think more and more Nolan's not going to be there.
Yeah,
21.
Nolan went at 17. Grant went at 13.
Wow. I mean, I do think he's going to have a monster combine.
Yeah.
But that doesn't alleviate the concerns I would have about him.
Yeah.
Too. I like the player a lot. I don't think trading down here is, though, insane.
Not insane, no.
Yeah.
I just don't know that we need to go crazy. We can't do 3 trades.
We can't do 3. I would say let's entertain one here and be done.
All right, so the Lions are on the phone with pick 28. That's the highest pick. Commanders are on the phone with pick 29. Those are the 2 teams that are still in the first round.
Okay. I'm fine going that far because I didn't love the names you said.
All right, so if we trade 21, 28's obviously involved. We're talking to Detroit first.
Okay.
They're not going to give us 60. They don't have their
I remember they're hard to trade with, right?
They got 132. So if we give 21 and 60, we're going to have to give up something a little later to make that work. Would you give up 21 and 121? And if they throw in another pick, let's say...
Yeah, I wouldn't mind recouping the 5 we gave up on Debo
let's
or
say 194
or something like that.
So we're moving back a little bit, but we got a pick in between there.
Yeah, but we get 60, though, right?
Yeah, we got 60 back, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'll offer that, and they didn't accept that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what do we need to get their first and 60?
So let's say, let's do a next year's swap. I want their 4th-round pick next year. We'll throw in our 5th-round pick, see what that looks like. They accepted that. Okay.
That was enough to put them over.
So we got 28 and 60. They got 20 and 120, or 21 and 121. We got their 4th next year for our 5th next year.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, I'm going to resume the draft.
Top players. Have to pick.
We got to pick this time. They moved up to come get Armand Membo.
Okay. I don't think that's crazy. Right.
Derek Harmon went with the next pick. Nick Scourton went. Kelvin Banks went. Matthew Golden went. Josh Connerly went. Siobhan Ravel went. We're back on the clock here. Top players available: Amarian Hampton, Gray Zabel, Darius Alexander, Jihad Campbell, Colston Loveland, Jalen Walker, Demetrius Knight, Trey Amos, Donovan Ezereku, Elika Yemenor, Benjamin Morrison, T.J. Sanders, Tyleik Williams.
Not doing cartwheels over any of them. I mean, somebody must have fallen.
There's some, in
terms of their adjusted.
They adjusted some players out of their first round.
Is it too early for Alexander?
I mean, this is where they're saying he's got to go.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's that type of prospect. A little older than I would like, but
yeah,
it's okay.
I mean, if I'm going to...
What about Williams from Ohio State?
That's who I was just going to say. I'm kind of warming up to him a little bit.
Me too. He's a brick wall.
Talk more about him in the next segment here, but I definitely am warming up to him as a prospect here.
Yeah, I mean, he's hard to move.
Yeah.
I think I'd go that direction.
I don't know that there's... Grant will give you more potential pass rush upside.
Yes.
Potential.
Yeah.
I think Tyleik Williams is the better run stopper.
Oh, I think so too. He's a little lower to the ground.
Yeah.
He's a little more consistent. I'm a big Grant fan. Don't get me wrong. But his best reps, it's not McCullers, but his best reps are whoa. And then, especially when you watch him next to his D-tackle buddy at Michigan, because every rep with that guy is good. Where Grant's like, you could have done a little more there, son. You're right. But his great ones are great.
Okay, so we're taking Tyleik Williams.
I'm fine there. I'm fine with that, yeah. National champion.
He can learn from Cam.
Oh, that would be
ideal.
Oh, yeah.
We're kicking Keanu Benton out to defensive end.
Buckeye buddies, yeah.
All right, so we are up now at pick 53. Top players available. Tyler Booker. That's more realistic than him going early in the first round.
I don't know if he'd last that long, but
right. But he's going in round 2. He's a guard.
Those guys go early round 2 usually.
Yeah. Would you consider Tyler Booker in round 2?
We have an extra pick with the trade down. We have a receiver already in the
It doesn't help you at all at tackle
Well, I'm just worried how long Ciamalo is going to be around.
Right.
It's
I
really
get it. That's
right.
I mean,
that's the concern.
Looking a gift horse in the mouth there, it's he's a pretty good player.
And he's a really good player, and he's fits what you want to do. I guess I'd consider it, but I bet there's somebody I prefer.
Darian Porter, Jared Ivey, Ariante Ursary, Josh Farmer moved way up the boards.
I said we just
took a nose,
but yeah, that's where Farmer I think goes.
Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, Kyle Kennard, Omar Norman Lott, Jaden Higgins, Donovan Jackson, Josiah Stewart, Travion Henderson, Jordan Birch, Cameron Williams.
There's some attractive running backs. I like Higgins.
I'm warming up a little bit to taking Travion Henderson.
Really?
I am.
State your case. I mean, I love the player.
Explosion.
I just don't know if I think that's their style.
Explosion. Style be damned.
Okay.
give me the best pure runner, and he might be he's number 2 for me in this draft.
Really?
In terms of okay,
just generic running
what this
back
guy's
rankings.
going to do at the next level.
He tore up the playoffs. He is a home run. I don't have any problem with the player. I just think that they're looking for the 230-pound guy. Doesn't mean you can't get that guy in round 6.
I mean, it's not like he's 210 pounds. It's not like he's small.
No, he's not.
He's not a true inside runner. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think they want to do more of this outside zone stuff. And all right, he can get to the edge.
We already have a Buckeye. We can do it.
You want to take him there over some of these other guys? Darian
we have
Porter,
another pick coming up here real
We do
real
at 60,
soon, right?
yeah.
I'm fine with it. I mean, they need difference makers. They need explosive offense. He has a lot of that
makes you
stuff.
dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, Travion Henderson. We haven't taken him.
No. This is not our typical draft at all.
Okay. We're up at 60. Ariante Ursary is there. Caleb Johnson is there. Kyle Kennard is there. Omar Norman Lott. Donovan Jackson. Josiah Stewart. Jordan Birch.
Let me stop you real quick.
Yeah.
Donovan Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone Buckeye crazy. I'm not trying to do that intentionally. But he's
a good football player.
It's the conversation we just had about the Bama guard, except this guy's played tackle.
Yeah. You know who else is interesting in this range? We haven't really talked about him much.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Birch.
You're a fan?
He's 6'6", 295.
Mm-hmm.
He had 10 sacks last year at Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
guy can get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Could he be a 3-4 defensive end? I think so.
I mean, he's listed more as an edge most places you see him, which makes you think he's like 255.
Right.
Which he isn't
but he's
at
295.
all. Yeah.
Like, he's got classic Steelers 3-4 defensive end size.
I would say LeBeau would have liked them.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not much different than Aaron Smith and Kiesel and those guys coming out.
You took a nose.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I definitely don't want another massive body guy. Now, who else is out there? What's the receiver corner situation?
Cameron Williams, the tackle out of Texas. Ozzie Trapillo, the tackle out of Boston College. Quinshawn Junkins, we're not taking another running back. Chris Paul Jr., the linebacker out of Mississippi. Sebastian Castro, the safety out of Iowa. Jordan Phillips, defensive lineman from Maryland.
Another nose, yeah.
Jalen Royals is the top wide receiver available.
I like Royals, but that seems a little early, but I like Royals.
Savion Williams, they bumped down in their rankings.
Yeah,
I could see that. Maxwell Hairston is there.
That's attractive.
Yeah, he's a good player.
That's attractive.
Isaiah Bond, Azirie Thomas is there. Anthony Belton is there.
Belton's kind of attractive.
Trey Harris is still available.
I like Harris. I wouldn't mind going D-line. It sounds like a lot of our usual suspects are, gone.
Yeah.
You convinced me on Birch.
Again, we're thinking outside the box here.
Yeah.
He's been
and we're talking about winning programs and productive players. That's what we've gotten so far.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Hairston was attractive.
Yeah.
We do that a lot, though. We didn't talk about this, but I bet they have a corner on side.
I bet they do, too. Yeah.
I bet they spend money on a corner.
Yeah. Then do you take Donovan Jackson instead?
Your line would be in really good shape. I mean, he could be an emergency tackle, guard in waiting. I like McCormick, but he might be better than McCormick on opening day.
He could be.
That's possible.
It's possible.
I mean, I'm not trying to bump him out of the starting lineup.
At the very least, you've prepared down the road.
Yeah. Would you consider trading Siamalu? If you get to camp and everybody looks great? I mean,
now we're back in the conversation we had last year when we were talking at training camp. They've got 11 guys on the offensive line who are NFL players. Right. Boy, we should trade one of these guys, and then everybody got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Plus, he's also the leader and the adult and all that kind of stuff, too.
So probably not.
Probably not. Right. Kind of like Jackson there.
I do think that they're going to be.
He could help.
Yeah, there are going to be other guys available.
It might not be till next year, but Lyman.
He's 22 years old.
Let's do it. Well, are we just only going to draft Ohio State guys?
Apparently, that's what we're doing here. So we'll take Will Howard at 85.
Right. They got plenty to pick from.
Okay, Donovan Jackson's the pick.
Okay, they have to fight with who rooms with who.
At 85, we were up. The top player available is Lathan Ransom, the safety out of Ohio State. Not going there.
All right.
Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. Charles Grant, the offensive tackle out of William & Mary.
If we didn't just do that, I'd be really interested in Grant there. Yeah.
Anthony Belton is also available. One of those two guys
probably would have picked one of those two and maybe not made the Jackson pick had we known.
Aziriah Thomas is available.
I think you jump on that.
I think you just take Aziriah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State.
Good. Okay.
Okay, now we don't have another pick, though, until 224.
And we kind of got shut out on DNs, but we did draft the defensive lineman, and Benton became a DN.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've gotten younger up front.
Oh, yeah. Receiver still something I would love to address. We got Deebo Samuel, but
we traded for Deebo. We still have George Pickens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're better there than we were.
100%.
All right. At 224, the top players available: Curtis Rourke, Tyler Shuck.
I like both those guys a lot.
Graham Mertz, Hunter Wohler, the safety out of Wisconsin, Kareem Reed, linebacker out of Utah, Logan Brown, tackle out of Kansas, Malachi Moore, safety out of Alabama, LeJontay Wester, wide receiver out of Colorado, Ty Robinson, defensive lineman out of Nebraska.
Those quarterbacks are attractive, but Ty Robinson
breaks.
He's going to make it in this league. He might not be. He's a little stiff and he can play a little high, but he's aggressive as could be and might not ever be a starter, but he's that guy that comes in and brings a lot of energy to the defense.
Yeah.
I would be fine with that.
And there's three quarterbacks really still available there that maybe one of those guys goes to 246 and you get that.
Robinson would be great.
Ty Robinson is the pick.
Okay.
All right, we've taken two defensive linemen. Okay. We are up now at 246, and the top player available is Graham Mertz, quarterback out of Florida.
I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything for me, but maybe he's wonderful.
So Clay Webb, guard out of Jacksonville State. Holland Pierce, tackle out of Rutgers. Kyron Lacey, wide receiver out of LSU. He would be much higher, but he's got off-field stuff. Jordan Hancock, safety out of Ohio State.
Oh, sure.
Malachi Matavo, tight end out of UCLA. Seth Hannigan, quarterback out of Memphis.
Not terrible.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Greg Penn, linebacker out of LSU. Dan Jackson, the safety out of Georgia. Aaron Smith, linebacker out of South Carolina State. Marcus Weir, guard out of Montana State. Tommy Hill, cornerback out of Nebraska. Mac McWilliams, cornerback out of UCF.
They have a corner.
Tonka Hemingway, defensive lineman out of South Carolina. Shamari Simmons, cornerback out of Arizona State.
Is there a safety or a receiver you like? Or a quarterback, but we only mentioned two quarterbacks. And they weren't super exciting. Or a big pounding running back?
Brew McCoy out of Tennessee do anything for you?
Could do worse.
Carson Vinson, the big offensive tackle out of Texas or Alabama A&M. Brady Cook, the quarterback out of Missouri, is there.
There was a couple of O-linemen I didn't dislike, but I can't see drafting two O-linemen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see that. Let's look at the running backs available. You're looking at Donovan Edwards is the only one. So he's kind of redundant.
It's very redundant.
Yeah. Wide receiver.
Wide receiver, a note.
Lacey Rock Taylor out of Memphis, Jackson Meeks out of Syracuse, Brew McCoy out of Tennessee, Elijah Badger out of Florida, Daquan Felton out of Virginia Tech, Joey Hobart out of Texas State.
I kind of like Felton. I kind of like McCoy.
Yeah, Felton's a big guy, right?
I think so, yeah.
Not a ton of production, but he's 6'5", 216.
Yeah.
Different than what you have.
Yeah.
You want to take him?
Okay.
All right. Daquan Felton it is.
Okay. That's our last pick, right?
That's our last pick.
This is an interesting one.
Different.
Yeah.
We're not doing the same thing over and over again.
Right. Except drafting Ohio State guys.
Yeah. All right. So we made one trade down
Yes.
in the first round.
Which is logical.
To move-
I don't think that's insane.
to take Tyleik Williams.
Okay. Really sure up the middle of that D-line.
Then in round 2, we took Travion Henderson, the running back out of Ohio State. I don't think he makes it that far.
No, I don't either. I really don't. That was one of the biggest reasons I was absolutely fine with it is that's value.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he gets out of the first round.
We took Donovan Jackson at 60. That was the other pick that we
I
picked
don't know
up.
if he'll get that far either.
Yeah.
But
Offensive tackle out of Ohio State. We took Azirie Thomas at pick 85.
okay.
We took at 220. We didn't have anything in the hundreds. At 224, we took Ty Robinson, the defensive lineman out of Nebraska. He's different from Tyleik Williams.
I wonder if him and Logan Lee would be two dogs, one bone thing, or maybe they both would there'd be room
Yeah.
for.
Well, with the new kickoff rules, too, you can use guys like that
Yeah.
to be
Yeah,
wedge.
they could be out there.
Yeah. And then Daquan Felton, the wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, at 246. We also picked up Deebo Samuel for our 5th-round draft pick, and we got a
Moved up around the next year.
we picked up a 4th-rounder from Detroit in for our 5th-rounder. Once you get the comp picks and everything in there, it's probably a move of 25 spots.
And the Lions could win the Super Bowl. I mean, it might be a late one. Who knows? But
you just don't know. But
right.
I'll take the extra pick next year.
Oh, yeah. That was enough sweetener to make that deal happen.
Yeah. I don't love it.
I don't love it either. I mean, it was fine. I mean, we took an unorthodox approach, and I might love it if they had already done 2 or 3 things in free agency, and
You're just shoring some stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like the O-line stuff is. Can you afford to do that with the needs you had? I don't know. But it's okay.
Yeah. I think Donovan Jackson would be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean
it'd be a
especially with what
great
you went through
bonus
last
prize.
season.
Yeah, in terms of big picture O-line building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be somewhere for you.
I mean, you've
sooner
really
than later.
beefed up your both sides of line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to another break here. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And of course, you can hear this show every day right here on these very airwaves, wherever you're listening now, or you can download the Steelers mobile app, get the show there. You'll start to get our triple take stuff, all that stuff coming up here where we really dive into the draft, the videos.
Released tomorrow, I think.
All the stories that we do with those as well, and the rankings, mock drafts, all that good stuff. And then, of course, you can also watch the show, I should say, or listen to the show on YouTube as well and leave comments. Give us a thumbs up. We like that, as does the algorithm apparently on YouTube. Yeah. But anyways, let's get to that break. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. We're just recounting what happens on our drive, the 5 hours to Indy, every 5+ hours to Indy. You and Wes sit in the front seat because I get picked up last.
You get picked up last. Wes picks up one of these ridiculous vehicles that has all kinds of logos and stuff all over it, and people beep at us all the way.
We zip across to Ohio, and Wes drives like a maniac.
Yeah, I'd say he nearly killed. I hit the air brake in the front seat.
That's why I don't. When Wes
times.
is driving, I don't mind sitting in the back seat.
Right, and if you notice, he doesn't get any drive time on the way home. Why don't you sit in the back and do whatever you do? Yeah.
The one year,
he's scary, dude.
Was it me and you and Tom Opferman the one year when Tom went with us?
Mm-hmm.
And we drove back, and Tom slept in the back seat the entire time.
Tom had a rough week. Yeah. He had a tough time hanging with the big dogs. He was a little sleepy after that week.
He slept the entire way.
Yeah.
We didn't hear a peep out of Tom, and he kept his shirt on.
Yeah, he kept his shirt on, right. Didn't eat all our candy like he does here.
Anyways, that's what we're looking forward to next week.
I'm psyched about the combine.
Oh,
I'll
it's
be honest.
Be a great one, too.
Yeah.
33rd team, Matt, has broken down this year's superlatives for the 2025 defensive line draft.
Oh, okay, fun.
James Foster did that. He's one of their NFL analysts here. And he's taking a different look at some different players who plays the run well, who's the best doing this. And so let's take a look at this and see who the best guys are. So the most complete player, in his opinion, is Mason Graham.
That's safe to say.
But he said he didn't qualify as the number one player in any of the other superlatives. But he's the best. He's the best overall player of the group.
I think that's safe to say. He's not the insane pass rusher or the best athlete and a little bit shorter arms, but I mean he's the best overall football player.
Yeah. Honorable mention for that, Tyleek Williams, who we just took in the first round.
Okay. And what was the superlative? How exactly did they word it?
Their best rounded, well-rounded player. He's the best defensive tackle in this class overall and extremely well-rounded as a prospect.
Okay.
He said he's explosive off the line of scrimmage, has lateral quickness across an opponent's face and slicing the gaps. After he wins with leverage, he's able to bend the rush angle from the edge of the block directly to the quarterback. He also channels a burst into a potent bull rush. As a run defender, Graham has rare technical prowess for a player his age. He stacks and sheds and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. All true.
He has a higher floor than any defensive tackle in this class. Yeah. Extremely high likelihood of being of at least being a quality starter. And then Tyleek Williams is the runner-up mention there.
I like how he finished that about Graham because maybe he won't be Jalen Carter or Aaron Donald or Chris Jones or whatever, but he's not going to be bad.
Yeah, he'll be a good player for whoever takes him.
They'll probably be happy they took him 5th overall or whatever.
And that's just this draft.
Yeah.
Like that's what this draft turns into because that top of the board isn't,
super dynamic.
Even last year's. You compare this year's draft to last year's draft, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, agreed. Real quick on the Ohio State dude, I hope we haven't given the misconception that he's just run. I mean, he can push the pocket, he can get under centers. I mean, he can bully the 295-pound center.
He's got a good motor.
He does, and he moves pretty well laterally too. He'll chase the ball. He's not just a stiff and an anchor in the middle of your defense. Yeah. He brings more than that.
Best athlete.
I wonder who.
He has Shamar Turner.
Oh, interesting one because I mentioned that McShay podcast I was listening to today. Turner, they didn't say which bone, but he played all year with a broken bone.
Oh.
And they're expecting him to be a phenomenal tester. He might be a riser, the more that I find out about him. And they think he's going to be great in Indy. Good interview. And I guess he went to the Senior Bowl, and they said, you have a broken bone. You probably shouldn't do this. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
His number 2 guy, Jordan Phillips out of Maryland.
More of a wrestler type athlete. That doesn't mean he's the fastest or jumps the highest, but balance and athleticism is such a wide
when you're talking
range.
about a 310, 320-pound person.
Right.
You're not talking about the athleticism of a 5'10" cornerback.
I also think he has like a powerlifting background too, and I like his makeup.
Yeah. Anchor.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking of the physicality that he provides.
Best speed/finesse rusher.
Don't know who that'd be.
Omar Norman Lott.
That's a good one.
Out of Tennessee.
Quick off the ball.
Yeah.
Kind of a designated interior pass rusher maybe. I mean, I could see his rookie year on 3rd downs. He's out there, getting off the ball. I know he has a real high pass rush win rate, it's the highest of anyone in the class. Or
but
whatever.
It also should. He averaged 17 snaps a game last year.
Right, that's the thing.
Like you were a designate. You just go get the quarterback.
Yep, and Pierce has some of that too with Tennessee. I guess they use like 10 or 11 defensive linemen routinely.
Yeah. His honorable mentions, another guy that I like, and it's very similar, Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He's undersized, but man, is he quick.
He gets off the ball.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's Grady Jarrett, but he's kind of has that feel to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be not for the Steelers.
I don't think you're right.
I could see him hitting early. It's like a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
Splash plays.
How did this guy fall this far? Well, he's 6'1", 290 pounds.
Mm-hmm. But he's not easy to block.
Yeah. Best power rusher.
Okay. I'm not sure who that would be.
Darius Alexander from Toledo.
Really heavy hands.
He's got
long arms.
They're like clubs.
Full grown man. A little bit older against MAC guys. Just moving them against their will.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one.
The honorable mention in that was Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, he gets off the ball super well. He's a great run stuffer, too. His pass rush, you see flashes, but it is a lot of bull.
Yeah.
You know?
Now we move on to best run defender.
I bet Nolan's high on that list.
Alfred Collins.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, like.
Where would you be in the Alfred Collins business? I don't know if you get him in 3. I don't know if I'd take him in 2.
That's the problem.
Yeah, okay, that's why I brought it up.
But
he's more nosy.
He doesn't really give you anything as a true pass rusher.
No. I'm curious what kind of athleticism he shows in Indy. Not that that's the end all be all, but I don't think it'll be bad.
But he's almost 6'6". He's 319 pounds. The arms are 34, almost 35 inches long. Like he is not built like your typical nose tackle.
No, he's not. I mean, I wonder, does he have padded level issues? But his length also helps with that stuff. How many snaps is he going to give you? I'm not quite sure. I haven't painted his picture yet.
Yeah.
Who's the runner-up?
Tyleek Williams.
Ah, okay.
So.
Yeah. That's what he is.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are fire plugs in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Some fire plugs are bigger than others.
Different style fire
But you
plugs,
would think with a guy like Alfred Collins, I mean, again, you see that size 6'5", almost 6'6", 319 pounds, like 34-inch. Why isn't the pass rush better?
Yeah.
Can he improve on that?
I mean, he was a backup last year.
True.
2 really good players.
Two good guys,
in a big-time program, obviously.
So
It's
maybe
not
that's still developing.
I mean, he would have stared at Pitt.
He would have started at a lot of places.
Everywhere, basically, right. So maybe that's just work in progress. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, he's a bull in a china shop to get out of the middle.
Yeah. But most guys with his build, to your point, aren't the fire plug run stuffers.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's already got that, which is impressive.
Yeah. But that is his grouping of the superlatives for the defensive line draft. That's James Foster.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the names we've been talking about there.
No, yeah. I mean, it's an unbelievably good class. One name I might want to reconsider is the South Carolina dude. I mean, he is more 3 technique, upfield penetrator. But I didn't realize he was 6'4" with long arms and 295-ish too. You know, like
when you kept saying he's undersized, and I'm like,
he plays like a smaller Geno Atkins
he's like
type.
290 plus pounds. Like,
yeah, I thought he was 6'2", not 6'4" and change. Like I think he might be 6'4.5". He may be a Steeler type DN.
Yeah, big enough to ride the ride.
Maybe I just got him wrong from the start, or getting them just late to the party on him. But he makes a lot of plays.
Yeah,
he's an intriguing dude.
Yeah, so I mean,
there's so many of them.
Just dudes all through this draft that you know, if you don't get one in round 1, you decide to go a different direction. You take Ashton Genty as we did.
Yeah, right.
McShay did, or not McShay. Daniel Jeremiah did yesterday.
Yeah, it was DJ did that, right.
There are a lot of different ways you can go in this particular draft to get what you need.
The day 2 D linemen are going to be plentiful.
Yeah. You just got to get the right one, and you got to get the right one in the first round too.
Of course, I mean that's not a D line issue. That's with all positions. But what's the best way to build the puzzle?
Yeah,
we'll see. But free agency will have a lot to do with it too.
Absolutely. Let's get to another break.
All right.
He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I'll be back to finish up the show right after this. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, on CBS Sports here.com, I'm looking, and Chris Trapasso has done a mock draft predicting the stars of the NFL Combine who will rise into the first round.
Okay, that's a good exercise.
Now, when he says that,
maybe you shouldn't say rise into the first round.
Yeah.
Right.
Because those guys are probably already ranked that high by teams. This just lets again, we just did a mock draft on Pro Football Focus, and they changed their rankings around.
Yeah. Which is an ever-evolving thing.
It's ever
no one's
evolving.
going to get it right day one.
But when we started this process, for example, we were getting a guy like Darius Alexander in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, and then
it was Josh Farmer in the 4th or 5th round.
And Alexander, he was like, you pretty much always get him in 2.
Yeah.
Now I don't think you're getting him in 2. Right.
Now he's up in the 1. Like, okay, what changed? Well, their perception of the player.
A lot of it's because a lot of us are late to the party. We
Yeah.
don't do this year round, but the more you watch them, the more you stack your ballot too. And boy, you put your foot to the fire. Do I want him or do I want the other D lineman? I'm going with him. I'm going with him, and then they raise up a little bit.
So he's saying Abdul Carter goes number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, so I thought he was doing a mock. I misunderstood I thought he was going to say these dudes are all ready to jump up.
We'll get to that when you start saying some of the guys.
I see what you're saying.
He's Cam Ward 2, Travis Hunter 3 to the Browns. The Giants making a little swap there.
No.
Will Campbell to the Patriots. Nick Emuari at pick 5 to the Jaguars.
Really? I mean, he could go crazy at the combine.
He could go crazy to the
crazy.
Yeah. Could he go that crazy?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if he ran like a 4.3 something at 6'3", 227 pounds, maybe.
I mean,
everybody knows he's fast right now.
Of course.
He's put it this way: he's likely higher on NFL draft boards
than the mocks
where he's been being mocked
because he's a safety.
Yeah,
man. I mean, I'm going old, but is he Sean Taylor? There aren't many safeties that are top 10. I mean,
right.
Hamilton was 15 or something like that. Troy was, Ed Reed was, not close to top 10.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor's the only one I can remember recently.
They weren't as big as this dude, though.
Taylor was a total freak. But, yeah, those guys didn't look like him.
Yeah. At 6, then, Shedeur Sanders goes to Vegas.
Okay.
Mason Graham goes at 7 to the Jets.
I would think they'd be pretty happy with that. Put him next to Quentin Williams.
At 8, James Pierce goes to the Carolina Panthers.
I've noticed people love him or question him.
He's got some good tape.
He has some good tape going back years. He has a lot of traits.
And it's not just bending the edge. It's like
no, he's got a variety too.
He's got a variety of moves.
Yeah. I get the allure.
Yeah. At 9, Tyler Warren goes to the New Orleans Saints.
I think he has a chance to go really high.
At 10, Ariante Ursery to the Bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he considered an elite crazy athlete?
Yeah. I think he's...
the fact that he's a tackle.
6'6", 330 pounds. He goes out and runs well, mirrors well, all that stuff. You're like, he's got classic size.
I could see him being a riser. That's quite the rise, obviously, but still, I know that's the exercise here.
Yeah. At 11, Mike Green goes to the 49ers.
Okay.
Edge rusher out of Marshall.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
12, Ashton Genty goes to the Cowboys.
Fair enough.
At 13, Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Miami Dolphins.
I would think they'd be pretty happy with that.
I think so.
Either a tackle or a guard for him.
At 14, Will Johnson goes to the Colts.
Is that about his floor? I would think.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
At 15, Jalen Walker goes to the Atlanta Falcons.
I don't know if he's for everyone, but people are going to think he's Micah Parsons. And he's got some explosiveness to him.
Yeah. 16, Kenneth Grant goes to the Arizona Cardinals.
I think he's going to put on a show in Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
He was a freaks list guy, and, that's what he does.
17, Walter Nolan goes to the Bengals.
Wouldn't like both those guys being gone, but we're really thinking that Nolan probably won't make it.
Yeah, we get it. At 18, Landon Jackson, the edge rusher out of Arkansas, goes to the Seattle Seahawks.
He has some freaky traits. I see what he's doing here. The traits dudes are who we're talking
up
about.
The boards. Yeah. These are guys that you should know.
And the coaches are more involved. And give me those traits. I'll coach them up.
At 19, Teteroa McMillan goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Put him next to Evans. Yikes.
There's your Mike Evans replacement.
Exactly right.
Yeah. At 20, Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan, goes to the Broncos.
I think they'd be very happy with that.
At 21, Darius Alexander goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That might not sound crazy. It really not. We had a hard time saying anything bad about him when we were taking him in round 2 and 3 and all that stuff. Small school.
I guess he's primed for a big workout.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 6'4", 310.
Long arms,
Yeah.
and big hands, and right.
Good kid. Again, I talked to him for 5 minutes at the Combine, or at the Senior Bowl, but seemed like a pretty good kid.
Really?
Seemed like he had a good head on his shoulders, and,
Okay.
At 22, you're going to like this one. Bashal Tootin, running back out of Virginia Tech. Think he's going to have a monster
I think he'll
combine.
have a monster combine,
Yeah.
but he's not going in the first round.
He's not going to go in the first round, but he's getting the names.
I see what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to warm up to the whole exercise.
He will run well.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's explosive traits, and he has some breakaway speed too.
At 23, Siobhan Ravel.
Hopefully, he shows he's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to work out, but if he can get the clean bill of health,
that's the
that'd be
key
wonderful.
for him. Is he's got to show that he's healthy, because
you don't have to come back for the recheck.
The
or
tape,
pro day.
the tape looks good. The results are good. Now you got to see if
he's big.
Yeah.
The tape
is this something? Oh no, if he's got he's still got something wrong with him. We're going to, he's not going to be able to do his pro day and that kind of stuff. 24, Minnesota takes Donovan Jackson.
Okay.
25, the Houston Texans take Emeka Egbika.
Receiver's a huge need for them.
Yeah.
And I would want someone that's pretty NFL ready, and he fits that.
26, the Rams take Josh Farmer.
Wow.
Offensive lineman from Florida State.
I've heard they say he's going to test quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very balanced. The drills will look good. I understand all that.
At 27, the Ravens take Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State.
Let's see where you're at medically. I don't think he'll work out or anything.
Right. At 28, the Lions get Shamar Stewart, the defensive lineman from Texas A&M.
I was paying a little more attention to him, too, and, boy, the traits are crazy. But one of the reasons he doesn't get sacks is I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. I mean, like some of his run defense stuff, it's like, he's just such a ball of clay.
So I can remember when the Steelers drafted Bud Dupree.
Yeah.
In the first round. I was on the air on Steelers Nation Radio at the team facility, and the pick comes in, Steelers take Bud Dupree, outside linebacker, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd watched him. And I'm like, look, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's a freaky athlete. He has no.
He looks wonderful when he
watch
walks
the
in the
tape,
room,
and you'd see the ball running by him, and then all of a sudden he'd turn and look. Oh, now he's going to go get it.
Yeah, this guy has some of those traits, man.
And that proved to be the case for a couple of years.
Yeah,
but then when it finally turned on, like, okay, now he's a good football player.
Yeah, he ended his Steeler career strong. Right. You got to be patient, though. Right.
Yeah, you got to be patient.
This guy is going to be similar.
Yeah,
because he'll do great in Indy.
Right.
I know that part.
And Bud Dupree was a ridiculous athlete.
Oh, yeah. His vertical, all his stuff was great.
The speed, all that stuff.
And he looked the part.
At 29, the Commanders take Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia.
He's another one. I think he's like 20 right now. 5-star recruit, 6'5", 270, long arms. Doesn't make a ton of plays.
Yeah. Buffalo at 30 takes Prince Hugh, the edge rusher out of Ole Miss.
I can see him being fast. He's a pretty long strider. I could see him doing well.
The Chiefs take Jihad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama.
He's certainly an athlete.
Yeah. And then Nick Scourton finishes off the first round going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wonder what he'll weigh in at. Is he going to try to be the power end, the Aaron Smith, Cam Hayward, or is he going to try to be the Bud Dupree,
I would guess he probably comes – now, he's listed at 6'4", 285. I'll bet he comes in around 280 just to try to run well.
I was thinking 275, 280. Yeah. I would try to be a little leaner than what he played at.
Because it's easier to put that weight back on than it is to
I mean, depending what team takes you, but I would want to test well in Indy.
Yeah, that's the key.
And be as explosive as I could, 10-yard splits, all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Jumps.
And that's one thing, I think when you get to Indianapolis and we'll start getting those heights and weights and all that stuff, you need to pay attention to those things. Because if a guy's listed at, he's listed at 6'2", he's actually 6'1", or he's 6 foot and a half. And he's listed at 215 pounds, but he's actually 198. Like that stuff matters.
It absolutely matters. Not to mention, constant reminder this time of year. Okay, boy, he's bigger than I thought he would be, but he didn't run.
Yeah, why?
And then at his pro day, he runs and weighed in a little less, but no one ever pays attention to the weigh in at the pro day. But fans don't. I mean, the teams do, of course.
Right.
But, you know, what? How did you run for your size that given day? These guys can change their bodies drastically.
That's the beautiful thing about the combine is that they're all running on the same track.
That too.
And they're all working out on the same track. They're all working out in the same drills.
Goes a long way.
Like these quarterbacks go to their pro days, they're throwing to hand-picked receivers.
Scripted.
They're making the throws that they want to make, not what the NFL wants to see necessarily.
Right. And they're not right next to their buddy, the assembly line stuff.
Where you can see, that ball really jumps out of that guy's hand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who's that?
Not as much as that guy, though.
Exactly. Exactly. Doing the exact same throws.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot to take away from it. I mean, the drills, too. I really like the drills for the defensive backs, too.
Yeah.
You know, the pedal drills. Can you find the football? Stuff like that, too.
Do you think we started to see in some recent years more guys not working out at the combine if they're, quote, unquote, think they're going to be some of the top guys taken?
Maybe. The one thing I'm not in tune with is I know the players didn't like some of the schedule changes where – for TV reasons, they're
running
doing,
late in the day. Yeah,
there was like 10 p.m. Sometimes they're asking them to do, shuttles and stuff, and they're like, "You've had me up since 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to
do
I'm on my best. Why would I put that out there?"
Yeah,
I totally get that.
At the other side of the equation, though, is you can't have them doing their interviews and stuff at 3:00 in the morning.
Right. I mean, it's a lot squashed into 4 days.
Yeah, they could do the running earlier in the day and just save it for TV. They don't have to do it live.
No one's in the building anyway.
Right.
It might sneak out what some of the numbers are, but so what?
You'd still turn it on. Oh, that guy ran a 4.33. I'm going to turn on and watch that.
Mm-hmm. Especially the drill stuff.
Yeah.
You could put that on later.
Yeah. But
I knew the players were upset about it, and I didn't blame them.
It does give us something to watch when we're out and about later in the day.
Yeah. No question. It's funny. I forget who I was talking to today about, you're going to be at the combine. I'm like, yeah, but I missed the combine while I'm there.
Yeah, you don't see the combine.
Right.
You're at the combine.
If I was home, I'd watch every drill in my lazy boy, but I missed the combine. And then you get home, and it's like, I already know Darth Vader's Luke's dad. I do watch him again. But
we mentioned the drive out, we talk about whatever. On the drive back, a lot of times, we're looking at Twitter, or X-Twitter, as it were, and seeing because we leave on Friday,
right?
Because there's no reason for us to stay there for the weekend, and so we're just this guy ran a 4.27. This guy was jumped.
Whoever's not driving's like, go and score after all the different stuff. But I do like when they come out. Go look at the top 10% and the bottom 10% right away. Who are the outliers in every drill? For their position group.
And you can sort all that stuff on NFL.com.
Not hard to find.
Yeah, it's not hard to find at all. But, Matt, that's going to do it for the show today.
Okie dokie. Sounds like a plan.
We will be back again tomorrow and Friday. And then, of course, Monday we'll be in Indianapolis, and we'll be there all week long. You can hear all of our programming from Steelers Nation Radio. We'll be in Indianapolis. So it's going to be wall-to-wall, basically 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah, a lot of people involved.
Can't wait for that. But for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller, here running the Justin Miller hotline and getting us Bob Labriola today, and for Tevin Dandridge making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube, I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.